Hey, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. If you are new, my name is Autumn, and this past homeschooling year, I was homeschooling my oldest, who was doing second grade work, and my youngest, who was doing kindergarten work. Now, my youngest was doing basically part one of kindergarten. Some people might call that a transitional kindergarten or what have you, but it basically was kindergarten part one for her because she was 4 and then turned 5 during the school year. And then this upcoming school year will be kindergarten part 2 for her. If she was in our school district, would be going into kindergarten. So though she does not have to do a kindergarten year, I am doing this kindergarten year with her. So for many of the things that I'm going to talk about with my youngest, most of these things will be also transitioning to the second part of her kindergarten year, just with either a different level or what have you, because we have had a lot of success with the things that we have used. The biggest changes I would say will be with my oldest, but even there aren't going to be a lot of changes. We really did have a great year with the curricula that we were using. I am going to start with my youngest though. So the biggest thing that we won't be continuing with next year that we used was preschool science from Apologia, and there was nothing that is wrong with the curriculum. It's just that we actually used it. So this is not something that we did half of and we're going to continue. We did this curriculum. We didn't do every lesson to its fullest, but we did complete this curriculum. My thoughts on this curriculum, we really enjoyed it. I liked the whole reading portion of it. My critiques, I would say, are that I wish this was 2 separate books. So this whole thing is everything that you need when it comes to the worksheets or the different activities. There's a parent guide in the back, and then the front is the part that you are reading with your child. And I just wish it was 2 separate things. This might work better for some people where it's just all contained in one book. But for me personally, I would have liked to have the book that I was reading with my child separate from the teacher guide portion. And I am no science expert or anything like that, but there were a few things that even my oldest picked up on. There was one page where we were talking about ocean animals, and the picture is of an orca, which I know people call it a killer whale, but it's actually a dolphin. And the caption for the picture does say a whale spouting. And my oldest was like, why does that say a whale spouting? That's a dolphin. So stuff like that was not abundant in this, but that wasn't the first thing that even my oldest was able to pick up on. In general, I really liked this curriculum. I would still recommend it. Overall, I really do think it was a really good curriculum and we enjoyed it. Again, my oldest only picked up on some of these things because she was right there with us, enjoying it alongside of my youngest. Another curriculum that we used and loved is Torchlight, but that'll be something that we are continuing. We did half of it for this year and we will do the other half for next year, also bringing in my oldest. So I have done a video on Torchlight. I did it already with my oldest. So glowing reviews there. Obviously, no curriculum is perfect, but we've really enjoyed it. And I've enjoyed it so much that we are doing it a second time around. And I'm still bringing my oldest in with us next year. So I would definitely use that curriculum again. I recommend it to other people as well. I think it's a really good program. There are just a lot of things that are a part of it. We pick and choose what we like. And that is something that I do like about that. There are just lots of things that you can choose to do or choose not to do. I do think that for it being Torchlight Level K, the activity pages that go along with it, I don't find them to be something that any of my kids were ready to do as kindergartners. Now, my oldest will be going into 3rd grade next year, and I will finally have her doing the student pages. But as a kindergartner, she was not ready for those. And as a kindergartner for my youngest, she's not going to be ready for those either. So I will be doing those student activity pages for my 3rd grader, but I think they were too much for a kindergartner. That's just my personal opinion. Now, this was alongside of our math. We didn't use this as our math curriculum, but my youngest loved this. She would often ask to do this. This is something she really enjoyed. These are just basic math pages. We still haven't finished this book. It's something that I've let her work on during the summer, but Honestly, she might still work on it during the school year if I find any pages that I think would be good for her to continue with. But I have been happy with these books. We just didn't get through them. There's actually a lot of pages in it. And again, we were already doing a separate math curriculum. We were doing Zern, which I absolutely love. Both of my girls love it. There is a like teacher component to it, and then there's also a digital component that my girls do. And we were doing the kindergarten level for Zern, which was new to me because when my oldest was in kindergarten, they did not have the online portion for that yet. And so it was really fun to be able to dive into that and be doing something new. I had done the curriculum, like paper pencil curriculum, but it was cool to do the individual lessons that were on the tablet that were new to us. And so my kindergartner really enjoyed that. She had a lot of fun with it. It is basically Eureka Math from Great Minds, but you also then have the digital component. And one of the great things about it is free. It is a fantastic curriculum and it is free. I have done videos about it already, so I won't talk like at length about it, but that is definitely like, that was a hit for us and it always has been. And so we will definitely be continuing with Zern for next year. Another curriculum I was using with my youngest is Pinwheels, and we're still using that. We did not finish Pinwheels year 1, so we will be continuing with Pinwheels year 1 for next year. The biggest difference that I found this year is we haven't been using the binder. So this whole binder is set up for you to put you set the binder up. It does not come set up, but I set up this whole binder to put all the different pages in, organized by her spelling pages, the phonics things, word study, all of this stuff. I've had it full for my oldest when we used this, and we just haven't really been using it as much with my youngest. I don't know, maybe that'll be something that as we start collecting more things, I will start putting more in here, but it just hasn't been as much of a priority this time around. It is part of the program to be like looking in it and saving your things. So I have all the papers. It's just I haven't been putting them in this LA binder. The one thing that she loves though is the flip book. So this is set up so that you roll the die and then depending on the number, you flip the letter over and you read the word. I added this washi tape down here so she had something to like use her finger with as she blended the letters together. That has been the one thing that has been a little more difficult for her. She has all the letter sounds, but that blending can sometimes be tough. And then other times it's incredibly easy. So it's just a practice thing that we just need to continue. But Pinwheels has been going really great. We've already used it. I've already talked about it before. A lot of the things I'm using with her are kind of like, this is what worked for my oldest. Let me see if it works for her. And so far, that has been successful and we haven't really needed to make any changes. So once again, Pinwheels has been really great for our family. I had planned on starting Explode the Code 1 with her, but we never really got to that. So I just don't feel like she was ready for that yet. I'll talk a little bit more about Explode the Code with my oldest because that is definitely something we used throughout the school year. And we only briefly started using the Dash reading books. I think we only did 1 and 2, and she really enjoys those. I think it's really nice because though I print out the readers for Pinwheels, like these are an actual book, like it's already like together. It's not just like paper that I've stapled together. So I think she really gets a lot of enjoyment out of reading those books from Dash into Learning. I have so many different things that I could show you guys from Lovevery, but that is another thing that I added in this year that has gone really well. And so these are actually some of the flashcards from the Reading Skill Set 1. So I love that they have the letter, the capital, and the lowercase, and then they have the word on the back with a picture. This one, my daughter always loves to hold on to because it's her favorite animal. But I have so many letter flashcards, and these ones are really nice because of the size, the thickness, the colors. I really like these ones. And so we have a lot of different games, activities, from Lovevery for the reading skill set, mostly 1. We just got reading skill set 2 toward the end of the school year, and she's also not fully ready for some of those activities. So we haven't really used much of that program yet. But then this is just one of the things from the math skill set 1. She will definitely be ready for 2 because she completed all of kindergarten math, and math skill set 1 is like pre-K to K. So she will definitely be ready for set 2, but she still really enjoys the different things in set 1. It's still really good for her fluency and just for fun and building that confidence. But I am so glad that we have had these because it's just been a really fun way to work on reading and math skills. Now, before I jump into 3rd grade curricula that we used this school year, I will mention the one thing that we did together, and that was homeschool Spanish. If you've been around here for a while, you know this is something that my girls love, but I haven't fully fallen in love with yet. I really have a hard time being consistent with it. It just doesn't necessarily feel natural for me, but it is something we will try again for next year. But I've said, if it's not going well, we're moving on because, again, they love it, but I'm having a hard time with using it, and I'm the one teaching them. So if I can't get this together, then I'm not really being of much help to them. All right, now on to Alani. She actually started the school year with Rooted in Language Pinwheels year 2. So we started the school year with year 2, and from that moved on to Wand. My hope was we were going to be doing Pinwheels year 3, but Rooted in Language actually had announced that they would be closing down shop. They would not be releasing year 3. Things have changed. I haven't actually been catching up with the latest news, but they did say that they were selling to another company, so they would be continuing things. I have not continued to keep up because we basically have what we're using, but that really threw a monkey wrench into things. We loved, again, Pinwheels, year 1, year 2, we loved it, but I wasn't quite sure about Wand, and I had been looking forward to Pinwheels year 3 because it would have been newer, whereas Wand was the older program. Now, we loved Wand. I loved it. Alani loved it. Her reading really took such a leap this year. Like, my own family members are like, wow, she's a fantastic reader. We did our MAP testing at the end of the year. She's at an above average reading level for her grade. Everything's good. So I'm so glad things went well because I really went into the school year very unsure about the Wand curriculum. These are some of the books that we did. So if you're new to my channel, Wand uses the books to teach spelling and grammar, morphology, all of those different language arts things. So there's copywork and dictation, and we're using the passages from the books to explore all of those different components of language arts. So some of those books were Big Max, Zach's Alligator, Frog and Toad Together, Amelia Bedelia, The Golly Sisters Go West. Those were just a few of the books that we read, and so many of them are just books that I mean, again, it's an older program, but so many of them are books that I remember from when I was a kid. So it was nostalgic for me, but she also just had a great time with these books and really enjoyed them. So I'm really happy because I went in very unsure about Wand, and it ended up just being fantastic. It was very successful. I think that it was just the right program for her, gentle enough, but still there were so many different things that she was going over. From Zach's Alligator, she practiced her copy work with writing this passage that was from the book. So then we were learning a little bit about Friendly Letter, though this wasn't like a really big writing program. We did have a separate writing program, but I really just liked the different things that were incorporated. So she would learn everything through the lessons I was teaching and then practicing with her copy work and her spelling words. And then at the end of the week, she would have the French dictation where some of the words were filled out, and then she would fill out the rest herself to just show that she understood the concepts that were taught. So I'll show you an example of that. This was from the Amelia Bedelia book. And so as you can see, some of the words are already there. And then she would fill out the ones based on what she was working on. If you're familiar at all with Brave Writer basically came out of this program. So that is actually something that has really intrigued me. I've never used Brave Writer, but we loved Wand so much that now I'm even more interested in Brave Writer. I followed Julie Bogart's podcast. I have her books, but I've actually never used any of the literature singles or anything like that. And so I'm even more interested now after having such success with Juan. I did a video on Simplify Writing, but that is what we used for writing. We used grade 2, and we really liked Simplify Writing. I would just say it was a lot of papers. Like, there were so many different organizers that were leading to all of these different things, and it just was a lot of paper management. That would be my one critique, because it was a really great program. My daughter didn't love it, but she learned so much. And I really think that if we weren't doing Hearth and Story for next year, we would stick with Simplify Writing. But I just wanted to try something different because my daughter wanted something different. But again, if not, we would stick with Simplify Writing because I really liked it. It had handwriting, it had grammar. So each unit of writing then had a specific component that you were working on, whether it was complete sentences or capitalization, noun, parts of speech, like all of those different things. Each unit had something that you were also doing that was a grammar component. We did not hit each of those because grammar was part of WAND. So I used some of those pages kind of just as extra practice, but I didn't really use all of what Simplify Writing had to offer, but I did appreciate that there was a lot to offer. And then I said I would mention Explode the Code. I don't exactly, okay, so I wrote it here. I have my planner in front of me. So we started with 4, and so she completed 4, 5, and she started 6, but she didn't finish 6. I mean, she just started 6 at the end of the school year. And so those are the ones that we did. And I've talked about it before, but I find it worth it if I can get them on THRIFTBOOKS. I find it worth it to buy the teacher guides for these because it has what you need to do the tests in the back, but it also has so many really fun activities that go along with the spelling patterns that they are learning in these books. And so I do find that if I can find them secondhand, the teacher guides are completely worth it because they have additional activities that are really fun. And then the other thing I actually tried out this year was Logic of English C. It was the supplement where it's just online. I didn't end up using Logic of English. I've never used it before, but it was fun to kind of just have Alani do some of the online supplement as additional practice when she was using different skills. And Logic of English follows a different way of teaching than Rooted in Language. Rooted in Language does like a few letter sounds at a time, whereas Logic of English does introduce a bunch of letter sounds at a time. And even with that, since we were doing C and my oldest already knew so many of the letter sounds, like that didn't mess her up. She was able to like keep up with the different sounds that each letter could make because at that point she had learned so many sounds. So that was just fun for her to do. We didn't do all of it. It was $20 and she got like additional practice sometimes. And it was nice to just kind of see a different program, even though we weren't using Logic of English fully. And I think the last thing within that kind of language arts writing area is Progressive Cursive. Progressive Cursive is a program that I found through Teachers Pay Teachers, and it was really easy to teach the cursive. I actually used the cursive slides from Simplify Writing so that my daughter could really see the strokes and everything. And then from there was able to teach her the cursive through Progressive Cursive, which was just simply just copying the same letters over and over again. And then eventually combining them. They tried to teach similar letters together. That's the progressive part of it. If you were learning I, then you were also learning T, since those letters are similar. I think it was really good, but I do not think I had her doing enough cursive. So when we get to this 3rd grade school year, I am going to be having her continue with cursive because she definitely needs more practice. That is something that I didn't have her doing enough of for 2nd grade, but the progressive cursive was still really good. Again, I just needed to have her practicing more. All right, moving on to math. My oldest did not love this, but I think it's more of just it being additional work. So I would say that my youngest is still at that stage where she is very eager to do more, and my oldest is not. So this to her was just more work that she didn't want to do when she was already doing Zern. We didn't get very far in this at all, though I still think this is really great. I just probably should have known that this would not be something that was of any interest to her. But Zern went really well. Once again, that is something that we are going to continue with. I love the paper pencil side of it, as well as the independent lessons that they can do online. So that is continued to be a hit for us, and that is our plan for next year as well. All right, moving into science. I have already made a mystery science video, so I will not talk about it too much. It is very clear from previous videos how much we loved mystery science. It has gotten pricier. It was not as expensive when I used it at the beginning of our second grade year, and it is something that we are not going to use next year because I am combining my girls, and I just didn't find that that was going to be easy or worth it for that price. But I absolutely love mystery science. I think it is a fantastic curriculum. I just wish that they would do something about that pricing because it is still all online and you're printing things. I know the videos are really great and that costs money, but I don't know. I wish they could do something to make that a little bit easier of a pill to swallow when it comes to the cost. If it is within your budget though, I think it is a great curriculum. We had done sunlight science and we didn't really get through most of the experiments. We did like the paper stuff, but we didn't get through most of the experiments. And I think it's because those experiments were more sciencey. They required more setup. There was just a lot more to them. And I feel like mystery science really did make it just a lot easier. For some, that's a negative. Some people want the big bubbling things and all of that kind of stuff. For me, it just made it easier for us to do science because the experiments were so simple. Another thing that was new for us was core knowledge, history, and geography. I had done core knowledge LA before, but this was our first year doing core knowledge, history, and geography. And it was one of my daughter's favorite subjects. We absolutely loved it. I would do it again for next year, but since I'm combining them, we're just gonna finish Torchlight together. So core knowledge, history, and geography has, I don't remember how many domains we did. What I do like is you kind of can unit study it in a way if you want to and just pick the ones that you want. But I did try to complete as many as we could, and we did get through most of them. But toward the end of the year, I really just had to pick what was going to be more important to us. And that is because we did half the year with science and then half the year with history and geography. So I didn't have the full year for us to complete that curriculum. And we did miss an economics unit for core knowledge, history, and geography. So I'm just going to be carrying that in to third grade since we didn't use that one, because I do think that's an important unit that we missed. So we're just going to do it in third grade, no big deal. If you're not familiar with core knowledge, it is completely free if you are downloading the curriculum. You can purchase printed curriculum, but for me, it is just much better to just print it at home, and that works out for us. They also have ebooks that I didn't really learn about until like toward the end of the school year, which I thought were cool. But once again, it's still easier to me for us to print what we need for free. My daughter actually was reading, like doing the student readers on a tablet. I generally don't print teacher guides because I don't mind reading it on my computer. I try to save paper where I can, but any of the worksheets that she needed, like any of the consumable stuff, I was obviously printing for her. Some things I truly don't mind keeping digital to save paper, and then other things I just think it is better if it is printed. About halfway through the year, I had looked at Fish Tank because I was actually doing a lot of classes or webinars, I guess I should say, so that I could keep my teaching cert up to date. And Fish Tank was one of the companies that was doing the webinars. That was my first time ever hearing about them. So I looked into them as well, but I did end up sticking to core knowledge. I will say that seems to be a good one. I just feel that I get a lot more for free from core knowledge than I get when I at least look through the Fish Tank. It does seem like I would have to pay for a lot of the things that I actually would want from that curriculum. But they do seem similar to core knowledge, where they do offer a lot of things for free. There was so many webinars that I took. I have like this whole Google Doc of all of these different companies for curriculum that I still need to look into from all of the webinars that I've done. There's just a lot out there. Two things that I forgot to mention when I was talking about writing are IEW Structure and Style A and mystery writing. So since we loved mystery science so much, I had decided to try mystery writing so that we could see if that was a contender for third grade. And my daughter absolutely loved it, but I just found the price to be too much for what it was. I felt like we were going to have to add more to it, and the cost just wasn't worth it for that. And I think that's such a shame, because if you like mystery science and mystery writing, the cost of both of those together, to me, was just way too much. Now, IEW structure and style was just not for my daughter. We lasted maybe one day with that. Again, that was just trying it out for the third grade year, and it was a complete disaster. She really didn't enjoy it. I've already said it, we're going with Hearth and Story. We're gonna give that a try, but IEW structure and style was just not for her. I was really hoping she would like it, but that was a no. And then the other thing I forgot to mention was I also was using Dash with my oldest. Not for too long. We were using that around the same time that we were just finishing up Pinwheels. So she had finished the last set. I have set 1, 2, and 3. So she had finished up the last set ahead of moving into Wand. But that was everything that we used this year. Now, outside of any like little things, like we tried a separate thing for Christmas homeschool time, like that kind of stuff. But that was all the major things that we used for kindergarten and second grade. I did try to keep this pretty brief, but if you have any questions or want more details on anything I mentioned, just make sure to let me know in the comments. As always, thank you so much for your support on my channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.